Hello everybody, Christian from Treasure Town here, and today we're going to be speaking all about the 1958D wheat penny, and a lot of these are just going to be worth a few cents. They're really out there a fair amount, and their base value as a wheat penny is going to be like 5 cents, but there's a good bit of upside beyond that, and that could be because of a conditional rarity, or more likely an error or a variety. So I'll be covering some of those highlights in a presentation. Let's head over there right now, and I'll explain just what I'm talking about. And now we get to the 1958D Lincoln Wheat Cent, the last coin in a folder, because normally the D comes after the no mint mark Philadelphia coin. So pretty much the last coin in the wheat penny series from 1909 to 1958 before they'd switched into the Lincoln Memorial. You can pause this for a little bit more information if you're not familiar with it, but the coin itself, from a pure conditional rarity perspective, you only want to submit it to PCGS if you're really confident that it can get a Mint State 67 red designation, unless it's something like super crazy toning, where it'll come back brown or red brown. But this coin, a lot of the coins are worth submitting in Mint State 66. A lot of people saved them because it was the last year that they were producing them, and the production numbers are also pretty high. 800 million is a large number, so these are not super rare, but good news is there's a lot of varieties to look for. They may not be super significant or like really well known or cherry pickers guide ones. Some of the repunch mint marks, which we'll get into, can be submitted to NGC and they'll grade them, but these would go to ANAX. Here you can see an upper part of the 9 as well as a lower extra extension of the B in Liberty coming out, and these ones are, Kaneka recognized. The values though, Mint State 65, this being $10 versus this being $10, it's not the same value. This would be if you grade it at PCGS, and you'd probably incur a loss if you got back a Mint State 65. This is for just like a raw example that's really nicely preserved and can clearly see this. These coins aren't going to break the bank, but they're fun to look for, and if you enjoy the variety hunting, this is a coin that you can certainly do it on. Same thing here, just a minor spread to the lower part of the B in Liberty. Same thing, and then also, like many of the wheat pennies, there's a doubled eyelid variety where it's like a class 4 doubling. You can see right below the eyelid the protrusion of a second one, and those are often less well known, but not very many people are looking, so if you can find them, they're cool, rare, and if you find the right collector, can pay up for it. There's also a really minor, I don't think that this is like even too easy to see, and it's certainly not worth much, but a double die reverse where it's extra thickness, class 6 doubling. You can see extra thickness in the E, the dot, the bottom of the L, and this little wheat stem. It's not super visible. I think the best thing to search for on these is going to be the repunched mint marks, and there are dozens, there's tons of them out there. I selected the 3 that you can certify at NGC. They're in the VP Variety Plus guide. You can see below the first D mint mark. Really, the first D mint mark is below the second one, which is the main punching, but they repunched it for whatever reason. And this one's recognized at a lot of different places. This one, might be like a $20 coin in Mint State 65. And who knows, if you get it, it's probably worth certifying in really high condition at NGC to get the designation, just because you can find the right person who's collecting it, maybe. Right here, there's also going to be this repunch mint mark. I believe it's more on the inside of the Denver mint mark, not super apparent, but then something like this I really like, where you can see it all the way up in the northeast side, and again, this is 3 of 17, and there's many more than that. So paying close attention to the D mint mark, are they all worth even $10-15? Probably not really, but if you enjoy the varieties, this is certainly a coin where there's a lot of potential. There's also some errors. This one is a cud die break. So cuds are when the dies that are used to strike the coins, that's where you get the double die term. Well, here sometimes they break apart after too much use, and then metal starts filling the side where they're striking, and then on the reverse side, it's weakened and the design doesn't get struck because the metal is flowing in. This one sold for $315, a really strong price, but cuds have been, something that a lot of people are after, and it's a neat type of error. There's also struck on scrap. Sometimes the sheets that get used and the planchets are punched out of, sometimes some of that makes its way into the striking chamber and receives a strike. This one, is actually pretty attractive for having the a fair amount of detail on it. You can see the 58, you can see all the 1 cent, and then some really interesting effects. This sold for $180, and then you also get this well-off center, but also split planchet. So it's probably going to be much lighter. There were probably some impurities in the metal that caused this planchet to split apart and end up between the dies. It's a bit of an unusual planchet, so it's probably more likely that does get an off-center strike. Having the date on there is really important. People like collecting by date, so that would definitely have helped it in terms of getting collector appeal. But I always like showcasing the errors in addition to all these different varieties, which this one's more for like variety enthusiasts who really like this, that sort of thing, hunting them. But there's also conditional rarity, so glad to have been able to bring everything that you might be thinking of on these coins to you today with the 58D. Thanks for watching the video. I'd encourage you to like the video, comment, and make sure to subscribe to my channel. And I also have Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and some other social media platforms. You can also go to my main channel website, treasuretown.yt.com, to learn more about the channel and sort of stay in contact. I also will eventually host all of these videos on coinsmetalscards.com, which will be both news, marketplace, and coin information. I do have the goal of eventually getting pretty much every US coin, date, mint mark, denomination on the channel with a similar video to the one that you just watched, and that will likely all be hosted there. And then I also have treasuretowncoins.com, which is sort of my coin dealing wing, coin dealing only entity that is a little bit less focused on content production. So thank you so much, and I'll look forward to seeing you on some of my other videos. I also have videos that are not just the date, mint mark, denomination recap in this format, so you can check some of those out, and I'll have fun seeing you there.